I know. It's hard. Thank you.
All right, I got the right account. It is logging in now. Once it gets going, I'm going to do what I always do is I pause that one because otherwise it echoes in my ear and distracts me. So, okay, pause on that and hide it. Where are we? 6:58. I'm actually logged in before 7. Got it working. And we're going to give it a few minutes here, gang, to let some other folks join in. As usual, we'll get rolling about 2 minutes after. But in the meantime, woohoo! Small victories are what they are. Passing out of committee 9 to 5. Um, what can I tell you? South Carolina baby steps. I forget somebody made some sort of comment. You know, pick, little, little, little. We'll get there eventually, South Carolina.
Yeah, my fear is South Carolina will finally say yes once it's federally approved.
Well, I heard you say that you had. I don't want to get too far into this, but that you had finally gotten a chance to download it and kind of watch it. Um, I made a couple of notes. I know a couple of folks that'll probably be joining us will bring something up. Oh crap! Where did I hide that other one? Somebody asked me to look into. There it is. Okay. Um, so we got a couple things to talk about it, and but if nothing else, it's one baby step. It's not the Senate floor, but we're still gonna hit have that opportunity before the crossover date. Uh, but yeah, a lot of what I kind of I'll reference as we go in was some of the comments by some of the senators, and we hear these arguments all the time. It's not FDA approved. Why isn't it going to be in a dispensary? Why does it need its own little? Oh, that reminds me. I didn't send out a couple of reminders that I normally do. Let me see if I could get these out real quick. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. Come on, where is what I'm looking for? There we go. And one more place I want to do that. $7:01. We're getting there. We'll roll on in just a couple more seconds here. All right, good enough. All right. There we go. 7:02. Get my little notes up here. And all right, 7:02. It is March 31st, 2021, Wednesday, 7 p.m., 7:02. And got to click another button. There you go. And my name's Scott Weldon. I'm the Executive Director of South Carolina chapter of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, NORML. All of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness. They are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. So I'd like to start by welcoming everybody that's joining me here on the Zoom meeting live. Anybody that might be viewing this live on our YouTube channel, and also anybody that might be viewing this later as a recording. Quick note, if you are watching this live streaming to our YouTube channel, we're not really monitoring that comment section. So if you do have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can leave them in the comment section and we will address them shortly, next day or so. All righty. Big news of the day, as many of you probably already know, is Senate Bill 150, S-150, the Senate version of the South Carolina Compassionate Care Act, passed out of the Senate Medical Affairs Committee by a vote of 9 yay, 5 nay. I did not get the opportunity to travel to Columbia. I had a dental procedure today, and I'm not sure if it's still showing, but a little earlier I kind of looked like I had a stroke because I really couldn't feel this side of my face. So I was kind of talking like Popeye a little bit. I think it's doing a little bit better now. I can't really tell on the screen here. Anyway, I did get to tune in and watch it on the Senate's live stream. It got started, I think it was about 16 minutes past 9 when they actually started up the live stream, got things going. I had tuned in probably a little before 9. And there was once or twice where it kind of hung or glitched, but I got it back. I'm like, oh, no, we're not there yet. And then, as many of you may have noticed, I'm a little ADHD. You know, I saw a squirrel in the yard, or I happen to kind of get a little sidetracked while I'm trying to listen to that, and I'm trying to do something else over here. And I saw that they were getting finished with the confirmation or placements of a lot of those people that they had in the beginning, and they were starting on the 3 agenda bills. I think it started with S337 or something like that, 373. I don't remember what the number was. And I turned away for what felt like about 2 or 3 minutes, and I turned back and they're on agenda item 10, and I'm like, no, how did they get that agenda? Well, apparently they sort of jumped ahead on the agenda, took care of some other things that were on the agenda down below, and then came back up to S-150, and then and then I guess they went through the process. I'm not real good at remembering exactly what the chronology of it was there, but they had certain senators making some statements. Then Tom Davis came in and he addressed his bill, and he, I think even one of the other senators referred to it as, a baby of his, presented it with care and concern and a lot of good intent, and clearly stated the bright line between medical and recreational that he wants to build in this. And then I think they went and had, I guess they would call it a vote, because they were actually like saying, well, I'm going to vote for it here, but I'm really not going to vote for it on the Senate floor. And so some of these senators, I didn't actually think it was going to pass out of the committee, because it seemed like a number of senators that were talking about it still were very kind to Tom Davis, and talked about how persuasive and such the arguments are for this act. But here's some of the things actually I kind of heard. It's not approved by the FDA. It's still federally illegal. Um, it would be in their own dispensaries and not sold through the pharmacy system. Um, Sandy Sen's comment, it's all about the money. I don't think she really elaborated on that. Uh, and I'd like to actually take a couple moments just to address that or those points there right off the bat. Um, because if this is the biggest argument that we have from our senators, that it's not FDA approved and it's not going to be sold in pharmacies or controlled by the pharmacy system, it really to me shows a clear misunderstanding on how the FDA operates and how the DEA operates. Um, if you've joined us on these calls before, you may have heard me kind of go off on this from time to time, but apparently the senators don't understand that the process to FDA approval starts with research. And as far as Schedule 1 drugs that are controlled by the Controlled Substances Act, the only one that can approve research on marijuana is the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency. Now, it's my understanding, and stop me if I'm wrong, or correct me if I'm wrong, but the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, is an enforcement agency. It's not a medical agency. It's not a scientific agency. Um, um, I don't quite understand why they're controlling who can do the research on this, except for the fact that that's how Nixon basically wanted it. He made it very hard for this for things to change the Controlled Substances Act. It can't be done by executive order. It has to go to in front of Congress to be changed. But it's the DEA that controls who can do the research. Now, I don't remember exactly how many years ago. I'm going to say it's over 4 years ago. It could be closer to 5 years ago. The DEA made an announcement that they were going to be starting to open up research permits and encouraging basically researchers to submit their plan to do research. Now, up until this point, all research I'm sorry, I believe the number, if I'm correct, oh boy, it's been a while since I quoted this. I believe it was 94% of all permits approved for research were approved for researching the detrimental effects of cannabis on the body and on society. Only 6% were approved for positive, things that were looking for positive results. Positive. I had even listened to a documentary or an interview one time with a researcher, and they said that they were talking about how they initially wanted to research some positive aspect of it, but they wouldn't get approval. So they rewrote their application to make it sound like they were trying to look for something detrimental in cannabis to get the approval. But that's kind of how the DEA has worked to this point. Now, over 300 different researchers have applied after that announcement and after that encouragement by the DEA 5 years ago. As far as I know, to date, not a single one of those applications has been acted upon. So going to step 2 on that, why won't it be in the pharmacies? Well, pharmacies deal with controlled substances that are approved by the FDA. They deal with not controlled substances necessarily as much as FDA approved, medications for dispensing. And if you can't get the FDA approval, you have to find another avenue. Again, why do you need that other avenue? Because the DEA refuses to act on the permits that are the applications for permission to research positive aspects of marijuana, cannabis. Um, was that a good enough rant? I like that one. So, um, and real quick to reference Sandy, since it's all about the money, I can't imagine how it's all about the money any more than civil asset forfeiture and the war on drugs cost to the taxpayers and the citizens of South Carolina and the United States in any way, shape, or form, or big pharma's money. There was a comment I got from someone. I don't remember, Joey, if it was you that sent me the comment or not. Somebody had said that they heard a comment, something about um, deemed to be preempted by federal law is what I ended up getting out of it that I have on my list. And they said during that there was some comment about if this would go to court and be deemed to be preempted by federal law, then it would basically make the law invalid according to definition. Therefore, a federal court may require a state to refrain from enforcing law if the behavior conflicts with federal law. If somebody's going to take it to court, we can see how that plays out. But I'm pretty sure that based on the 38 other states that have legalized for medical use, I don't think they'd find against it at this point. And where are we? There is a new banking act federally that was recently read in, although the new MORE Act, whatever it's going to be called, has not been finalized and read in yet. Those two things I think will have some other bearing on state as well. But let's go back to the Compassionate Care Act real quick. Does anybody have any comments, questions, concerns that you'd like to bring up at this point?
It's Mike.
Mike, go for it.
So Senator Sen also brought up a couple of points that were a little bit irritating. One, she was concerned about the cannabis leaves that were showing up on buildings, advertising CBD, which I understand her concern, but that's really not a major issue, I don't believe. But what did bother me is that she said that she was concerned about that the cannabis was going to be prescribed to people who had certain conditions that you couldn't document with tests. And those not exactly the words, but for pain and PTSD were her primary two. That, a patient would come in and say, I'm having pain, I need medical cannabis, and voila, they would have a medical card. Luckily, Senator Davis did step in and gave some additional information that, you actually have to have a diagnosis for that reason of pain. But I think she's one of our bigger hurdles out of this particular group, this committee.
Oh, absolutely. I must agree. Thankfully it's now out of this committee. But still, I'm in her district. I drove by her law office this morning, or this afternoon on my way to the dental procedure, as a matter of fact. And I look over, and I don't think I ever realized it before, but she's got a big old blue line flag on hanging off the front of her building. And that's got some divisive connotations, if you ask me.
You did say that she's actually a lawyer for whatever police commission, right? Association.
Yeah, she does a lot of work for law enforcement as far as as being a lawyer. Her law office does. Absolutely. And that's another reason she shows solidarity with law enforcement, and law enforcement isn't backing this. She's not going to back it. She'll use her whatever excuses she wants to use to justify her position because she's backing law enforcement. Yeah, she is one of our hurdles. She was on my list to send another copy of this book. Actually, when she was running for office the last time, I saw her at a gay pride festival, and I don't know if that's showing up with the way the light's going. But the emerging clinical applications, and she's always talking about people wanting it just to get high, and she's been really against it since I've been in Charleston for 5 years. And like I said, I gave her a book. At that point, I had no idea who she was. I actually came to our booth. I thought she was a supporter at that point, but I learned better. But made sure she had a book. I comment on her posts from time to time, and she's not always pleased with me. But I have the right to say what I say. I'm not, hopefully not offensive. And just this last round, I sent the same copy of the book to all the negative senators that I could, find that had actually not signed on as co-sponsors to S150 from that committee. And so kind of next round here, we have, I'm sorry, let me remember here, 46 senators in the state. Now I've got my little list of who I've sent the book to, but I've probably got another good list that has not signed on there. I'm probably going to have to be trying to, hit some communications out to. So my goal here in the next, I'm going to give myself a deadline of 48 hours. Better make myself a note. I am going to draft a letter to all of the senators, kind of a blanket draft. Again, asking them as the S150, it moves out of committee, that they all encourage it to be voted upon, sign on as co-sponsors, and to vote for it. I'll probably go through and elaborate a little bit on the letter that I had sent out to I'm going to say it may have been about 8 or 9 of the cabinet members or committee members when I sent them the book last couple of weeks ago. So it's
Are we
supposed
able
to be.
to, are we able to
Yeah.
update the smoke the vote based off of those 5 negative votes today from those senators?
I would doubt it. I would doubt it because I don't think the database that's kept up on, I don't have the name of it written down here in front of me. I can check with Carly and see how quick that kind of stuff updates into our system, but I think it usually takes a while. Even when I was entering data before the last election in November, they only update their database once a week, even at that time. So I'm not sure, but we do have their database of all senators. So I'm just going to draft out the letter to kind of go to all of them, and say, if you haven't already, please co-sponsor. If you haven't already, please, if you're not, if you haven't already, but when it comes to vote, please vote for it. That kind of thing. So I'm going to try and make it real generic that it can go to all of them. I think last time I expounded just a little bit on Senator Davis's comments about how over 70, and even today he mentioned sometimes up to 80% in polls, are looking for medical in South Carolina. And the other thing I believe I want to sort of expound on it primarily because they brought it up today is this bit about the reason it can't be approved at this point, because I'm not going to write it in a letter, but basically cock blocked by the DEA, and try and address those kinds of concerns. Yeah. The display of pot leaves, to me, how's that any different than the display of liquor and drinks and things of that nature? And I don't know. I mean, just trying to get opioids at this point, for if I did have dental work now, they didn't prescribe me anything this time. But boy, they make you jump through hoops for it nowadays. I remember back at the beginning of this stuff, those pill mills were cooking. All my friends are going, "Oh yeah, you can go here, you can go there," and I'm like, I don't care about the pills. I really don't, but so be it. So that's my thought is I'm going to try and get this letter drafted, get it into our action network, I want to kind of make my notes here. And again, I want to get this going relatively quickly because I don't know how quickly it may get potential to move to the Senate floor for a vote. I'm also going to double check on this and send a same type of draft to the Senate Majority Leader, um, Senate Minority Leader, and probably the Majority Whip and the Minority Whip to try and get this bipartisan support all across the board as this hits the Senate floor, and see if we can beat that April 10th crossover date. The sooner the better. But yeah, that was even brought up during the hearing. Is it going to be too late to make it to cross over to the House? That deadline is April 10th. I don't have a calendar open in front of me. Tomorrow is the first, no fooling. And the 10th is a Saturday. So my assumption is next Friday would be our deadline for crossover to the Senate, to the House. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think they're working on Saturdays on a cannabis bill. Hide this so I can go back and see what's going on here. Now, what will happen when I put this out on Action Network is it'll hit the database for all the senators. And when you fill in your information, it's going to just select your senator and send your letter to your senator. At that point, as you're going through the process, you do have an opportunity to edit it. So if you see in there where I put a generic comment about if you haven't already, you may know what your senator's position is on that. I don't know how well the Smoke the Vote database is going to reflect supporters, just because a lot supporters and or opposition, just because a lot of them didn't participate when they're sent out. More had this time than previous years. It's a growing thing. Joshua asked if there's any information on the House bill and the 3M committee. And no, unfortunately, I've seen no movement on that, no indication that that's coming up for vote. Good question. I'm going to take a real quick look and see at the House calendar, House schedule, if there's any mention of it that I may have missed. Nope. Let me look into April. Ooh, 3M committee. Let me see what's on the agenda. Nope. 3998. I don't know what that bill is. Let me see if there's another one by chance. No, and there's another one April 13th, but that's after the deadline. 3M committee on the 14th, but again, that's after the deadline. And that doesn't have those bills on. No, of 3361. I believe that's the right number. Moving out of committee. And of course, as we all know, that's the one we like. And again, if you listen to the hearing today, smoking of it was brought up. Tom Davis, talked about, thank you to the law enforcement officials, Mark Keel, Chief Keel, whoever that, worked with him on this. And although he understands that smoking is the most effective method, he took it out of his bill to appease law enforcement. Um,
Yeah, that bothered me.
I was going to say, should I say that again out loud?
I was tempted to cut and paste it into a YouTube video, but I mean, I understand he's trying to get it passed, but what's going to come up at the end is you're actually going to have a dispensary with a cannabis, you know, plaque in there, but the doors are closed, and you'll get to look at it, and that's the best you're going to be able to get for cannabis if we keep giving up ground. This is just bullcrap. Sorry.
Well, compared to the last version of the bill, now it's not giving 50% of all the tax revenue to SLED. That was at least one good thing. But also, I don't know the number, but there's a lot of other states. I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I know Pennsylvania, when they first passed medical, it had the no smoking. And a number of other states have. And it's my understanding that in many cases, it's within about a year, sometimes two, but usually within about a year, where that part of it is rescinded or amended. And because, as Tom Davis said, it's the most effective way to consume, especially for PTSD, quite often for pain. Uh, Not admitting anything necessarily here, but I got to tell you, when I'm nauseous, I can't consume anything. I could maybe puff something, maybe. Yeah. And, so that again is something that we kind of hope it's baby steps, and then we get to see that rescinded, especially for patients. You all know my goal is decriminalization for simple possession. Too many people going to prison for it. The heck is my watch going off for? Geez, I don't know. Something just happened to my watch. Buzzing all over the place. See if maybe. Anyway, where was I? They just sidetracked the heck out of me. Yeah, so that's what we've seen. It's generally within about a year or so is they do amend that. Yeah, I mean, I thought that when they legalized hemp and hemp flower, we'd be sort of done with that. And then, of course, SLED Chief Keel went to ask Alan Wilson, our Attorney General, to write an opinion letter. And of course, his opinion, in my opinion, was a bit skewed, and made it sound like you couldn't smoke hemp, you couldn't possess hemp in flower form without a farming permit or distribution permit. I think that's how they try to go about it. Make you get like a $3,000 permit just to have it in your pocket. How they want to twist things. But anywho, that's where we are today. Is it's going to the Senate floor. We're going to have to kind of address it in the next couple of days. So yeah, that's my goal. Get this drafted out. Hopefully that we can promote it through the weekend. Start the basically a petitioning process, because this will be for the most part a petition. We'll petition them. It won't necessarily be a petition. It'll be a letter campaign. Yeah, here in Charleston as well, you can pick up hemp bud, and you can pick up the Delta 8. But there was, how many days ago was it? I posted it on my Facebook page. A couple days ago, they confiscated $5,000 worth of Delta 8 products out of a CBD shop in Myrtle Beach, and charged the shop owner with marijuana possession. Claimed that the Delta 8 products tested positive for THC. I'm assuming they're saying it tested above the 0.03 level, or 0.3 level, whatever. where was I? Yes. So it's kind of county by county. And so when that letter did come out by Alan Wilson, yes, some of the counties took that in hand and went, aha, this is all we need. Now we can. And then other counties went, we're not going to worry about that. So yeah, it kind of depends on what county you're in. I don't know if anybody is in here from that area in Myrtle Beach or your neck of the woods, but you said you're in Lexington County. Lexington County. How far up is Lexington? There we go. I love Google, man. It gets me anywhere real quick. All right, located in the Midlands. There's the map I wanted to see. Oh, okay. So that is Columbia's Columbia's kind of split by Lexington County with another county, it looks like. Cool.
Yeah, we
Okay.
kind of dance with Richland.
Richland. Okay. It's not showing me the other counties with the map I clicked on. Yeah, I'm thinking where more of the problem is now. I'm not even sure because Myrtle Beach has pretty good population, but I'm thinking some of the smaller population centers. Like I say, Columbia was the largest by population until just a few years ago, and then it switched here to Charleston. I think it's Charleston, then Columbia, then no, it's North Charleston, and then there's a couple of other towns like right here in the Charleston area, like Mount Pleasant, Somerville, I think Hanahan or something like that. A couple of those are also in the top 10, which to me is a plus if we really wanted to run a decrim petition city by city, town by town, would be to do it in the population center in this area right now, would be a good target to hit. Although sometimes I think if you could get a couple of the small towns to decrim, it would make some news. It would sort of get the wave rolling. It would start to gain some momentum. That's why many of you, if you've been on here and heard me talk about it before, I've tried to target Folly Beach. The pandemic kind of shut down a lot of our efforts for that because they have to be actual physical signatures on a physical document. Anyway, let's go back real quick to S150. Like I say, we'll go ahead. We'll get that stuff drafted. And that's really got to be our next move is to start addressing all of our senators. Oh, that's where I was. You can edit those letters when you're partway through. I don't know why I drafted off from that. The other thing, where are we time-wise tonight? We're a little bit more than a half hour in. Is we are making preliminary plans to do a annual event. We had it on our calendar for 2020. We had to cancel it. 2021. It's gone by a couple of names, but it is now. Let me go see if I can find the actual correct official name. South Carolina Cannabis Convocation 2021, a cannabis conference and trade show. We are looking at, and again, these are real preliminary plans at this point, but doing I'm going to say a modest cannabis conference and trade show. I'm believing our target focus on this is going to be obviously normal as a civil rights, civil liberties kind of organization, pro full legalization. But I think what we're looking to do is show the guests at this event, the attendees at the event, help them learn a little bit about the effects of cannabis prohibition on our communities and having a cannabis conviction on your record and that kind of stuff, how it sort of spider webs out into our communities. You've probably heard me say this a number of the times, but I quite often talk about the checking the box. If you have a marijuana conviction on your record and you're filling out a job application, you got to check the box that says, I've been convicted of a crime. You want to get student loans, educational funding, and you're applying for student loans. You have to check the box, and you're not going to get them if you're admitting that you have a cannabis related conviction. Uh, Public housing, um, and again, check that box. Um, and this is part of the spider webbing out into our community. I don't know how many of I've shared this story with, but for the first time in my life, I decided to try and apply for a job where I knew they were going to make me pee in a cup, and I my guess is to clear my system, I probably have to wait, a good solid 30 days plus, and I didn't. I tried a little bit of a detox and a flush and this and that, and I don't know what exactly the numbers on the test showed, but they showed positive, and I didn't get the job. And it kind of makes me realize that when Ronald Reagan made it mandatory for all government employees to pee in a cup, to pre-employment drug test. That very quickly dominoed into the public sector, and for the most part, it's my understanding it's really an insurance company requirement now as you do this, with no evidence that it makes the workplace any less safe. Um, it's just basically approved discrimination against a certain class. Now, cannabis consumers, it's hard to call them a discriminated class, I think, sometimes because it's a choice, but uh, there's still that discrimination. And I take it back to the Nixon administration, based on like Ehrlichman's famous quote. Did we know it was illegal, or did we know it was dangerous? That it wasn't dangerous. Of course, we knew it wasn't dangerous. But if we could criminalize it, demonize it, we could demonize our opponents. Basically, the anti-war liberals and the blacks, or who they didn't want voting against them, and so those were the ones they wanted to try and criminalize, demonize, on the evening news every night, as the quote goes. You get them thrown in jail, they can't vote against you, taking away their right to vote. To me, it was very political and it was very racist. So you go all the way back to Henry Anslinger, and in the 1930s, very racist motives to make it illegal. When it was found that the Marijuana Stamp Act of 1937 was unconstitutional, Nixon scrambled, came up with the Controlled Substances Act. Personally, here it is on my notes, I still believe that violates the First and Fourth Amendments, primarily the First Amendment, to choose, your freedom of religion choice, that kind of stuff. And it's just, now wait for the Supreme Court to try and hear it again. I mean, I'm really amazed Timothy Leary got the Supreme Court to hear him in 1968, and overturned the Stamp Act. But the history of the discrimination is not based in science. It's not based on, especially when you're talking about pre-employment drug testing, it's not based on making the workplace any less safe. Am I recommending that you go smoke a big fatty and jump on some industrial equipment? No. Be smart, be responsible. Just like don't drink and drive, don't drink and work, don't consume, and do your job, unless something or another in your job requires it. Boy, I want that job. Um, like you always, I see some of these how it's made shows and that kind of stuff. They go to the breweries and the distilleries, and they have the tasters, and everybody says, "Oh, I want that job." Yeah. that would be me at the grow farm one day if I had to be the taster or the smeller or something like that. But yeah, that could get a little old some days. Anyhow, so going back to the what we're hoping to be a July 10th event, a Saturday in Columbia. We are limited by the location. We are not certain of the location yet, but we have a tentative location set up. And if we do select the location that we are considering, it would be more of a morning, early afternoon event. We are looking to try and connect with and reach out to other nonprofits and or community service organizations that have some whose clients have been affected by or are challenged by cannabis prohibition and or cannabis arrests on their record. The other side of it I'd like to see is we do have a legal MTBD industry here in South Carolina. I would like to sort of highlight the industrial side of that. The growers, the extractors, the product makers, kind of thing. So that would probably be a primary consideration before like retailers. So that would be sort of in our info vendors, and then we would have sort of retail vendors as well that we're looking to have at this as part of the trade show. So any comments, thoughts, or suggestions would definitely be appreciated. If you know of any, I'm trying to read some of this real quick. I'm not sure what the licensing versus the testing issue reference was to what I may have been talking about. I ramble on sometimes. That was from Josh. So if you can sort of highlight me, that would be cool. Um, yeah, let me quick check on this other thing too here. Okay. So yeah, we're in the early stages of that. Matter of fact, I was hoping, and I forgot to reach out to them earlier today, to hear back from the vendor because I'm looking to find out what the square footage is. That's going to help us determine how many informational booths we can have, how many vendor booths we can have. We will then hopefully have some of those informational booth operators do some presentations for us. We also may have some other virtual presentation options that we've been discussing. Um, so more news on that in the near future. But again, if you have any comments, suggestions, or requests, it's probably going to be sort of like I say, um, conference. There'll be an option for a little. Probably, I'm thinking we might have a little option for a little bag lunch at some point as you first arrive. We may have some, snacky breakfast tray kind of things. Um, but we'll keep you posted as we kind of formulate it in the next couple of weeks here. Again, July's not that far away, so this is. I don't want to gonna be say thrown together, but we're going to have to hustle to get it together quickly. Talking about conferences, I got a little opportunity to see it yesterday, but not a lot. There was a Canna conference that we promoted on all three of our media pages: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you happen to see it on our Facebook page, we actually had a complimentary pass to sign in. Um, and it was a virtual cannabis conference. And we were offered a booth along with a number of other chapters. And I don't know. I think I talked to somebody about this a day or two ago. It's probably my old computer and a slower, older graphics card. But I kind of stuttered around in this thing. And then at one point, it just seemed to stop and have me spin. And I couldn't seem to control the thing anymore. And I'd have to reboot or not reboot the whole thing, but kind of refresh the page. Um, but I was able to get in at least enough and get some graphics up onto our booth so that you could tell it was South Carolina Normal, linked our brochure, our contact information, and I think a link to our membership pages on our website. So the basics, but the important basics. So if anybody was visiting and didn't know that South Carolina Normal was here, and happened to be visiting that cannabis conference, maybe it'll bring us a little bit of a little bit of note. Um, but that's nice. We like when we're invited into these kind of events because we have a very very small marketing budget. Um, Marketing budget, actually, our entire budget is going to be. There was what a cool. Michael, I was kind of hoping you were going to either mention that or I was going to ask you if cannabis nurses would be interested. Um, I'll keep you posted. I know we're going to be nailing down some modest, I'm hoping modest, real modest fees, just to cover our costs on the room kind of thing. And that's why I'm trying to get the square footage. Because once I know the square footage and how many we can fit, I can do the math on it and figure out what I need to charge. And, there'll probably be a small ticketing fee for people to attend, but I'm thinking that's going to be uh, more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of a token amount, more so than we do want to try and make it a little bit of a fundraiser for Normal, but yeah, we don't really aren't looking to make any big bucks on this thing. We want more that community interaction, that awareness, kind of thing. So yeah, we will keep you posted on that. I will actually right now. I'll just mentally add it to my list, but we have a Google Doc that we're starting to work on and starting to list potential participants. We will get you on the list. Thank you for that. Um, Otherwise, I don't think I have a whole lot for this week. I do want to mention to y'all real quick before I kind of cut loose is every Monday night at 8 o'clock on Facebook. Actually, I don't want to say every Monday night, many Monday nights at 8 o'clock on Facebook and or thereabouts, because sometimes he gets busy. But Justin Streckbull, the political director of National Normal, has been doing a federal update, what's going on at the federal level. Just this past week, they were talking about the Banking Act that has been resubmitted. There, I just shared a post. There has been some other, I guess, discussions or clarifications on what's going on with the Schumer Weil, and I forget the other name, bill. What was the MORE Act that is getting redrafted? That's going to be coming back with a new name. I don't even think it has a solid name yet. Um, and But that's coming back federal level, and he's a good one to listen to. That's on Monday nights. That's at 7 o'clock. There's another one for state information. That's Tuesday night. That's Carly Wolf. She is the state level political. I don't know exactly what her title is. Let me go on my page because we just posted her link last night. So a lot of times, if you have notifications set up for our page at South Carolina Normal, you will see a notification when these come up because I try and note them when I see them. Yeah, 2 p.m. Eastern time was when Carly was on. That's on Tuesdays, and she is the state policies manager at National. Um, Carly hasn't had a whole lot to say about South Carolina because there hasn't been a whole lot to say. Yeah, I mean, I always try and let her know what's going on with S-150. Matter of fact, yesterday I mentioned to her, hey, it's coming up tomorrow for hearing in the committee. But now I can actually tell her that come out of committee. That's a good thing, which means we're moving to the floor vote. If you're watching from another state or concerned about or interested in what's going on in other states, Carly's a good one to watch as well. But Facebook on Normal's page, Normal National's page on Monday nights, 8 p.m. is Justin with the federal update. You will catch me talking about that every now and again on a Wednesday, but he's a lot more regular about it. I think that's the main ones I wanted to sort of point out to you right now is state and federal level kind of discussions with our national folks. Um, I'm looking at another monitor, so if you think I'm spacing out here. Um, and let me just double check. No other comments. That is kind of what I got for you tonight. We'll keep you posted as we move forward in the next couple of days on the draft and the Action Network letter campaign to the senators. If it does make it through the Senate and gets voted and makes it over to the House, we will see first off where it goes. I don't know if it goes to a committee again once it gets over there. I kind of think it might. We'll see. And then yeah, kind of start the process again through the House side, and hopefully we can get a vote before the end of this year's session. And I don't have a date on that. I want to say June. I don't think it's in the July. I'll get you a date on that in the near future. And then last but not least, see you back here Wednesday, 7 p.m. for the South Carolina Cannabis Conversation. If you do need to get a hold of me in the meantime, you can always reach out through our website, normlsc.org, or through our Facebook page. We do also try and monitor our Instagram and our Twitter accounts, but we're not quite as quick to respond on those. Sometimes I lose where a message came in from. So email is really the best, and that's normalsouthcarolina@gmail.com. NORML South Carolina, all one word, @gmail.com. And otherwise, that's all I have for you this week. I don't see any other comments or questions at the moment. So I'm just going to thank you for joining me. And let's see what we can do to legalize, at least for now, medical marijuana in South Carolina. Thanks again, folks.